medium is always English or Malayalam?
Yeah, Malayalam is
got it.
Yeah, Malayalam is okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'll switch. I'll keep switching. So I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so how many are students here? What is the total strength here in this session?
We have around 35 participants as of now. But
35. Okay, all right. Very good. First, thank you for the opportunity, Manoj and BG. This is a fantastic time to be in AI, artificial intelligence, and thank you for the opportunity. Is my voice clear? My video clear? Meaning my presentation is clear?
Your presentation is clear, but I'm not able to see you. But it's okay. We can go ahead.
You're not able to see me?
No, we can actually. I think laptop la anengi kannununda. Yeah, we are able.
Okay. All right. All right. So see, we are in an interesting time as far as artificial intelligence is concerned. We've seen waves of technology, right, coming in and leapfrogging humanity with respect to productivity or what we can do, right? And that's the topic today. What's this new technology with respect to generative AI and what it can actually do to our lives, both professionally and personally, right? So I have given an example of a caterpillar waiting to become a butterfly, the metamorphosis, right? So as a humanity, with every dawn of new technology, we've always seen we developing newer capabilities, right from the time of when man identified the wheel or discovered the purpose of the wheel, or all the way to the computer, right? At some point of time, the man was in the forest, right, as a cave dweller, and now we're living in modern houses. And the one thread that weaves all this together is innovation. Innovation, simply put, is nothing but trying to raise our ways of living, ways of doing. That way, your value for time, the quality of life, we can live a better life, right? Net. It can be what an airplane did to our lives, right? Or a motor car did. So the artificial intelligence is a similar technology. Now, just before I get to the detail, this is about me. My name is Rajesh Nair, born and brought up in outskirts of Bombay. Wife is Priya. She's also joined here, and daughter Gayatri and Maitri, they have also joined. I live in Richmond here, in Texas. Started my career with this as a domain guy. When you say domain, it means people who work in the industry, not in the IT specifically, right? So I started my work in the domain side, setting up factories on partially oriented yarn, cotton spinning yarn. Had my own startup before startup was fashionable in the areas of HDPE area. And then I got into IT with ERP implementation and all. Been with the firm called Tech Mahindra for about 20 plus years. Just hold on. Looks like the slides takes time. Okay. So what we say is that the last decade has been about software eating the world. What does it mean actually? And I also want participants to ask me questions. If there are, stop me, and keep in mind, AI is a multidisciplinary science. The science is still emerging, especially on the generative AI. So there might be areas of questions that I may not be a specialist, but that's what I do for a living, to a large extent on a day-to-day basis. So with this statement, software is eating the world, if you look at
webinar.
ഒരു മിനിറ്റ് ആരോ സംസാരിക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ സ്മിത. Smita, you can go on. Thank you. So what do you mean by software is eating the world? There was a paper, I think there's a gentleman called Horowitz who wrote it right in 2003 or 4, I suppose, which said basically the title was Software is Eating the World. What it means is, look at what retail has happened. What has happened to retail? Amazon, right? The top 10, out of the top 10 companies, 6 companies are no more there, that was there 20 years ago. The difference is the software has eaten the world, and hence the rise of Amazon. If you look at any other industry, you will see technology riding. The Google of the world, right? They were not there 30 years ago. Or I would say 40% of the Fortune 100 customers, which means ലോകത്തിലെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ company, the largest in terms of revenue and profitability. If you take a snapshot of who were there 40 years ago and now, 40% of them has gone. So that's the story of technology, and software is eating the world. Now, today, what we believe in the next 10 years is going to happen, and it will go faster actually, is the large language model, which is the topic of the day, that is going to eat the software, right? The software has eaten the world, meaning the business has transformed. So if you are not part of large language model, be you are a nurse, be you are a doctor, be you are a pharmacist, be you are an IT person, okay? Be you are a student. It's a fantastic time. There will be job losses. More than job losses, there will also be a lot of newer jobs and interesting jobs that will get created. And with every innovation, folks are fearful. I think with every innovation, folks who are actually thriving are people like us. Many of us came to US only because of the innovation called IT, right? So we can do far more, and Indians are good at adapting it, right? Coming back quickly, the basics of what AI is. I don't want to complicate it boring through a technology. So what I did was, there are 4 terminologies that if you want to keep it in your head as we go through this, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI. Those are the 4 things. You don't need to. So I've given an example here on a day-to-day life. What is this definition? How does it apply to our life, right? So the first one is, we are saying, if you're imagining we all use Google Maps, right? If you're using a Google map and it is, as you drive, you have a traffic block, you take a turn because the Google tells you, right? What is in action is artificial intelligence, right? The machine learning is all about, you go to a Netflix, open up a Netflix, it tells you based on your profile, based on what you have selected in the past, you automatically gives you suggestions while you're shopping or in Netflix, right? What is action? In action is a machine learning. It actually is a pattern reading. Think about machine learning as pattern reader. Pattern reader at the highest level of operation, which means it can take billions of data points, right? And given your profile, depending on comedy, the kind of language that you say, it will give you a suggestion. So that's machine learning for you. Deep learning goes much further. Deep learning is, think about deep learning like the brain, your synaptic cells, your brain. If you look at the anatomy of the brain also, it works at different layers. We think in layers actually, right? It actually deep learning mimics that. Common use of that is photos. You use in Google Photos. You say, okay, you recognize this is a person. So in every other photo, millions of photos, it will start picking up, right? So that's deep learning in action. What is generative AI? See, the word suggests what generative is nothing but generation, right? It generates something. It has the ability to generate voice. It has the ability to generate video, right? And it has the ability to actually generate essays. You want to develop an essay, and I give a 3-4 word prompt. Prompt is nothing but what you type in simple natural language or English, right? It gives you something that you can, right? If you want to write a book and say, okay, these are the 5 themes on which I want to talk about, right? The roses in my garden and the season that goes through it, it can write the whole essay book for you, or right? So the possibilities are enormous. This phase or this arc of innovation with generative AI, what the change is that always till now, the generation part was always the domain of human, right? We only could write the nice poetry, right? But today, if you want a Shakespeare written poetry on this subject or that subject, it can generate. So generative AI will learn what the Shakespeare style is and generate on the go in the form of what Shakespeare's the words are, the choice of the words, the time he lived in. All of that will be reflective of in the poem itself. I'll stop here if there is any question. I want this to be more interactive. Are there any questions? Or am I going too fast?
No, you're fine. Yeah, and if there are questions, students, maybe you can also type in the chat that we can address towards the end also.
Thank you, Manoj.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sherry, next floor to one. So again, I don't want this to be complicated session. It is not complicated. You keep it so to just think about how the hierarchy of how you should think artificial machine learning or deep learning and generative AI. This is the circle that you can draw. At the core of what is the generative, as you go, so artificial intelligence came first, which is in 1950. Think about that way. Machine learning came somewhere around 1975. Right? Deep learning started coming even in 70s also. But till about 2010, 12, or even 15, till the technology called Google BERT, B-E-R-T, we were all talking deep learning, right? With deep learning, radiography, or the doctors who look at the X-ray and other complicated reports and decipher what that image says, was one of the big achievement of human being, right? Starting 2015 and more importantly in 2020 with ChatGPT, right? That's where the dawn of generative AI really hit all of us, right? 2 years ago, right? Now that's what I mean. How you should think about it. This again, I don't need to go through, but just to give you now what I'm going is actually going the next layer actually so I'll come from the bottom actually. Computer vision, object detection, right? You have security cameras in your houses. It can identify what is that, okay? Is the person in the house who's coming in, so it doesn't alert you, right? You can be in the office or you can be across the continent, right? So that's a computer vision in action. A scene understanding, face detection and recognition, motion and text recognition OCR. So you have every day we get bills, right? Go to Walmart or wherever, right? Can I read that bill, millions of that, right, accurately and digitize it, which means taking it to your system, if you can, and read it accurately. Earlier, we didn't have the capacity to look at what the words in that are. So OCR is nothing but optical character recognition. Now, so there are the other areas, supervised learning, multimodal foundation model is nothing but, these are big words, but in simple words, I can tell you that, right? Most of the large language model or generative AI currently is in text. You ask a question and it will actually answer, it will give you an answer. Example. So what is the difference? What is the difference between a Google search and a generative AI? Can somebody answer? Even a wrong answer is fine. There are no wrong answers, by the way.
Google uses different sources and brings up the answers, but I believe with generative AI, it uses artificial intelligence to come up with different, I mean, it uses
okay.
different
Good luck, Queen.
and brings
What else?
Google come up with answers from information that already exists. Generative AI can it can accept different modes of models of input, but it can generate content that doesn't exist before.
Right.
Okay. All right. Very good. Next. Any other take?
Yeah, I think I'm also kind of supporting what Anil said, because now it's going to be generate the output exactly what last predicted or based on the trend, the information of the LLM.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Robbie. Okay, yeah. I think the last few answers are better positioned as far as the classical search or the Google search, which we are all used to, that launched the Google as a company, right? That basically it works more on a statistical and with a software kind of model. You can call it as artificial intelligence in action, but the generation part is far more advanced. Generation is what is not there today. It can generate. The Google search can only pull data if that data is somewhere somebody has uploaded. In other words, generative AI can generate newer data points from the data that is already fed. It will make an answer. Example, a complicated Mayo Clinic document on X kind of cancer. There might be 4, 5, or 50 research papers. It will summarize this for you. I mean, that same sentence you cannot find anywhere. Okay, and the science is still bleeding in the sense that if you go and ask the specialist of generative AI today, the best of the scientists today on generative AI, they are not able to answer how exactly that was done. Okay, we're still trying to figure that out, but we know that it is super good and it is useful for all of us. But I'm saying that is where the science is today, the state of the art on generative AI. All right, and multimodal is nothing but I can generate in a new video, new movie, a new PPT. You want to develop a PPT and you don't have for the school and you don't have the time. You give a high level context. It is about biology, cell, and I want to understand the parts of the cell, and give me in 5 slides, it'll create that slide for you. So you're actually writing in words in the text format. It will give you a PPT, or it can even create a movie for you. That's called multimodal. Not very complicated, as you can see. Okay, so what is actually generative AI? We just spoke about it, right? Generative AI can create images, new images that is not there. Sachin Tendulkar, I mean, one of the questions last November or something when I was talking to my daughter, when we were introducing generative AI, I was saying, Sachin Tendulkar, how he will play on the moon, right? And can you give me a picture? So Sachin has never gone to the moon, or you can play on the moon, right? But it drew a picture, the imaginative picture of a Sachin Tendulkar on the moon. So that's what is generative. So the why people are excited about generative AI is it has earlier imagination, creativity was always the domain of human. Machine today is at that stage. It is breaking on the doors of the human beings, that innate skill, right? And saying that machine can take even that piece and it can do at scale that human can never do. Millions and billions of pictures, documents, it can create movies, it can create for you. So so how good is generative AI model today? It's pretty damn good. Okay. Now, how will you improve the performance? Performance in this case is nothing but you want a movie, a better speed, or whatever that is, right? Whatever those criteria is. If you have larger model, you have a larger data set, larger computer budget, you'll be okay. You'll be doing better. Okay. I wanted to do a quick demo on Bing, but I can do it last. I might run short on time. So we are all using it. How many of you all, I'm sure pretty all of you are using Bing AI search or a Google generative AI search, right? Can somebody give us example here of using generative AI in your day-to-day life? Come on, guys, no participation here.
Yeah, I can actually give you Rajesh. So I usually use the either ChatGPT or the Bard to create something, especially rephrasing something, summarizing something, or giving some kind of a suggestion on specific topics. So even, for example, creating some, like for example, documents, right? Requirement documents or a particular like governance documents. What are the points needs to be included as part of it? So when I give that in the ChatGPT, it's giving what are the sections I need to focus on and to give some examples. So that's what I use. And Bing, there is something in the Bing chat, right? So there also I was actually using that one, and there is Microsoft product called the Designer. So I usually create images using that.
Oh, very good. Okay, I've not used that, but interesting. Thank you, Deepti. Anybody else? Students here, I'm sure you guys are all using it.
So this is Prasad, and I use Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, for not for work,
Okay.
but this is on the creative side when we have to generate certain background images for some presentation
Okay.
in the community, or something like, something we don't have existing, and that we need. Earlier used to use a complex Photoshop blending and all that thing. So now we have to
Yes.
just use the prompt, and then it blends you for you. And it may not be exactly the original photos or real images, but yeah, it's amazing. And also my daughter uses ChatGPT for everything now for the school, right? So that's actually
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's the best thing that we see in the kids. Like, when we had calculators before, when we were kids,
Yes.
now they're using ChatGPT for
Yeah.
coming up with great ideas, and then good text for their schoolwork.
Sure. Absolutely.
Even in the simple, like the latest smartphones have AI incorporated into it now. So the images, if you want to remove some objects and fill in with a detail that is relevant to the background, it does it on its own with the new feature.
Correct, Lakshmi. Yeah.
So,
Very good. So we are actually a user. All of us has been a user for AI for the last 20 years. The only difference is we didn't know many a time, right? The maps, we do it, right? But generative, we think about generation, video, images, right? So any idea what is the implication of this? Any guess on what is the implication of this technology that is coming in? Because every technology, right from the Bullock time, has displaced some work, created more work. Human has moved. He has better time, better quality of life, right? And 80%, I'll give you an example. 80% in 1800 of US citizens were farmers. Any guess how many are farmers today in the US? Come on, give me a percentage.
Less than 20%.
5%. 10.
5%. Kebi, what is that?
10.
10. So the answer is 1. So 80% in 1800 has become 1%. It's not mine data. It is US Department of Employment, or that data piece I'm talking about. See, I'm saying that 80% work, where did that work go? And how many people lost jobs? Surely people lost jobs. But what is happening is the capitalist society is an innovative society. It will reallocate the jobs. It will create new jobs. Now, generative AI, everybody is worried about what happens to my job. Example, the programmer coding, right? You can be far better programmer. A GitHub Copilot, which is a Microsoft product, can help you if you're writing a C++ and your organization wants to rewrite that application, right? In Java or Python or whatever, right? It can write, it can do. So it's not that it'll take away his job, it will make you productive. Human will always be at the apex. At least that's what we all still believe, right? It will always direct, because that faculty of helping, creating, thinking imaginatively is still not up to the computer. All right.
Rajesh, I have a question. So
Yes.
recently in my, so we had a manager who just put in her name and asked, who am I? And okay, through the Copilot, and it gave her everything, including how many members were on her team in the past and how many are there now, and what she has done all throughout her career. So I have a concern. When we use AI, are we putting all our information out there for AI to learn and spit it back out at any point in time? When I ask it something, and isn't it basically learning who I am, what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do?
Yeah. Yes. So this is like a double-edged sword. Okay. It can hurt you. It can defend you. Right. It can, so like a knife, right? When we started using knife, even still we hurt ourselves. So any new technology brings its enormous potential to humans, as much as it also becomes the negative factor. So what society does, and that this you have, Shabi, you have taken an important question. So what we call it as responsible AI. Responsible AI is a huge field. What it basically tells is that how should somebody use my data? How should, because we are still, humanity is still learning with this tool, okay? What data it should look at, what data of mine is a private data, that is what PII is all about. There are new legislation that is coming in to protect that, to protect humanity. So as much as, see, Shabi, with the observation you had opted in with Google or whatever you're using in your browser. If you look at your setting, it has, you are given the permission to know you. So it's upon us as individuals how much of information you want to give of yourself. Now, keep in mind, as much as information you don't give, it will only be so much only useful, right? It's like, think about simple Netflix. If you don't create a profile well ordered, maybe you might get a kid's movie recommendation, but that's at a high level. But my point to you is, yes, you should be careful of what data you open up here. But LLM, what happens is, if you have a profile, it is learning, but basically it is the available document corpus you gave it. I mean, I'm talking about enterprise applications when we build it. Whatever it gives you, give it a Bible and ask me, hey, tell a story and prepare a movie for me on this part of the Bible, right? It will create that movie for you. So it all depends on what data you are giving it. Okay, so this is the level of
Rajesh, quickly I can add.
Yeah.
Quickly, I can add there, Naveen here. Since rightly you mentioned about the data privacy controls, that legislations that are already there, and adding to that, legislations are there. Nowadays, you see cookie consent that you typically see cookies can be allowed. Every session you will have cookie consent. Actually, that is part of the legislation. And as Rajesh said, as a part of the data privacy, you are responsible for controlling your information, your own information. Otherwise, outer side will take it.
Yep. Thank you, Naveen. Great answer. So this is the level of discipline. See what it should say. If you are employee productivity, right? Think about many things that we do. And innovation is more about productivity, doing more with less. What did X-ray machine do? It made it possible that it can screen inside your body and help the doctor diagnose the problem statement much better, right? Similarly, which means somebody's work got faster, better. In this case, it was not possible to see inside the body, right? So any of these factors, so what we are saying is employee productivity will increase. Like one of the comment that we got, right? So we will have knowledge management can be better. There's a lot of files on your which you have gone through a lot of times, right? Now, I don't have much time getting into a meeting. If I ask a question to a generative AI, like if it is already there on your system and say, scan my document and tell me what it is all about, it will scan exactly those kind of corpus of knowledge and then give you that answer. Now, it's not possible. It has to be a production grade, but I'm saying that's the ability. So think about we work in IT, or we support IT or support the companies in various companies in IT. There is a 200, 300 page, we all write a guide of, hey, if a SAP SDMM ticket comes in, these are the steps to solve, right? And we ask overall all the employees to actually use it, but nobody uses it actually, right? Today, an email comes and say, hey, I have a table lock, or I have this problem or this message in my computer. What should I do? Please help me. The email will be automatically read. It will also be seen, hey, this is the error code. It will pull the data from the manual, which was 300 pages or 3,000 pages, and it will exactly tell the person who doesn't understand IT to say, step 1, 2, 3, 4, please do it. And 90% of the work can be done that way. So what has happened is the IT workforce is reduced comparatively, right? But the person on the other end, he doesn't need to wait for 24 hours to get his ticket resolved. Okay, all right. So I will leave it in. I'll open up the floor for more questions if there are. There are more slides, but okay, let me do this one. So what this slide basically says, what is the benefit of what are the benefits that is happening to an employee? Let's take this one. reshaped workflows. So I don't need to go through the complicated document, 30,000 page document. If I'm a Boeing employee doing some kind of inspection or maintenance work, I don't need to go through the 30,000 pages or 3 million pages. I'll ask question, it'll give me the answer, exactly the steps, and give me right? So it has reshaped the workflows. Assisted task completion, we spoke about it. Productivity enhancement, we spoke about it. New and reshaped jobs. BYOI, I mean, for me, it was new actually. Bring your own AI is the full form of this. What it means is, as Chevy mentioned, I think, or Naveen mentioned, we all go to work. While doing the work, we ask a Copilot or Bing, right? Or a Gemini, right? Google Gemini, right? So, and I actually get that answer and use it in your work, right? That's actually what is BYOAI, bring your own AI, right? That's increasing, and companies are thinking how to take care of it. For society, it has huge implication. In other words, an ordinary person sitting in a village, a boy who doesn't have that resource, today can create his own movie. Okay? So think about Warner Brothers business, right? Any of the biggest movie producers, production houses. Today, they can get disrupted. What did YouTube did to many of these media companies, right? The cost of movie making has come down a lot more. So today, the individual creators or YouTube creative folks, or any other social media creative, they have become far more powerful. That's the rise of, so the society is getting reshaped, right? There is a democratization of otherwise you will have to show up in a Doordarshan, get him to plead him to get you that slot, right? Which is the India's the first channel we had, right? And later there were about 50 channels, but I still need to beg. The ordinary person doesn't have a view into it. How I can be there today? You have a best content. Warner Brothers will come begging for you now. So all right. So I'll get some. So is there any question? There are a lot of slides. We can share this across, but so here is a, I don't know whether my screen is clear. Somehow I'm not letting it go. This one. It should go actually. I don't know. I use it every day. Anyway, so what this is saying is, it is reasoning if it is asked, so the user is asking the question here, what is the funny about this image, right? It is showing all of this image and it is asking, what is funny about this image? Describe it panel by panel. So what is GPT, which is an LLM output, large language model output? It is saying panel 1, this is a smartphone with a VGA connector. Panel 2, what it is. Panel 3. And it is saying, describe it by panel. What is funny about this image? The earlier version of AI could not do it. But the generative AI can create jokes for you, right? It says, the humor in this image comes from the absurdity of plugging a large outdated VGA connected to a small modern. So this is if you have a computer desktop at home, you will see this kind of VGA connector. You never do that to your phone. There's no slot in a typical phone to connect it. So that's funny about it. So the point that it is driving is, generative AI provides you unprecedented capability. Now, if you are not aware, so first is any innovation that comes in, you should be aware, right? You should be in your awareness zone. Now, with generative AI, is in most of everybody's awareness zone. Now, the second step is what do you use it for? The question that you need to ask is, how can I actually harness or harvest that idea, that technology for you could be a carpenter, you could be an electrician, it could be anybody else, it doesn't matter, a student, right? It should help me, the technology should help me to go 10x, right? 10x salary, or whatever that could be, right? So think about that level of productivity, which means it will give you far more for your time and money. I'll stop here. There are more slides, but I can go on. But is the session useful for you? Any feedback?
Yes, it's useful.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So,
Yes.
so this is another one. I'll send this across. It is. I'll send this across. It's a multi-step LLM. What it does and how it creates a page, right? So demo on Microsoft Jarvis using several AI model autonomously to complete a multi-step process. How it does actually. You can read through it. It is very explanatory. But let me see if there is anything. This was an important thing. Anybody who's a coder here or a programmer makes the living by programming. This is a slide that you want to pay attention on. So on the left side is nothing but the life cycle. If I'm a programmer, where all am I spending time, right? Using generative AI, if I'm leveraging generative AI, right? These are places where 45% of the time is being saved in coding. 45% of the same time can be saved in bug fixing, right? Is what it is saying. Now, this is still an emerging science. It is still not perfect, but it is perfect enough for many of us to be useful. Okay. So net, what it is saying is 24% of a programmer's time can be eliminated. Not only that, I think the value is actually it can write much better code than a human can write. The normal code, okay? The human can write some other things, but this is it can do it at scale, okay? It can be at lightning speed, okay? It can be 1,000,000 times more productive than a human in terms of speed. But and it can also give the code clarity it will be a clean code. So in other words, performance will be far better.
Rajesh,
now, these are some of, yeah.
I have a question there. So isn't this exactly where do we draw the line where the machine takes over the human, right? So if generative AI is going to give a better code, so then doesn't the developer become irrelevant there?
See, okay. Did the Bullockard make folks irrelevant? Some folks. London in 1850 or 1880, it was full of horse shit. Okay, and they were the most powerful empire in the world. Okay, the advent of motor car. With the advent of motor car, folks who had the buggy, the horse buggy, whoever had, they were all on the street protesting, saying we can't have that. Why? Because it changes everything that we have lived for. Humanity is at the same level. All the programmers or anybody else is at the same level. Where we will not? Humanity will not be able to draw the line, because if one country, one person does that, some other society will leapfrog with it. So the best way to do, and we are as a human, we are always an adaptive animal at the core. We are innovative. We are creative. Don't underestimate that. My suggestion, the way we all came into IT, right, and drew a far better line in our lives in terms of the richness that we live in, right, better value for our time. I think that arc will continue. The metamorphosis, the first slide that we had, that's the slide always. We will evolve. We will be far more productive, right? A trip to America in 1800 would have taken you 60 days, right? Maybe more, and far more risk. So I think that is the arc. So what you should be doing, and what the world is trying to do with the European Union legislation recently on privacy, a month ago that was passed, it is trying to protect humanity, making companies behave. Yesterday there was a news that said on AI, EU is going after Meta, Google, Microsoft, all of them, big way. They're saying 10% is the fine. 10% of the global revenue will be their fine. If you don't use responsible AI, they have laid out the regulation. Each company, whoever wants to do business in Europe, they are saying, walk the line, right? So that will be what the responsible AI in action is. I don't know, Chevy, if I answered your question.
Yes, you did.
I'm Deepa. I just wanted to add my experience on it. I'm a software developer for last 10 years, and I have two little children. So we've been starting to use the Copilot for last, I think, 2 or 3 months. But I can see that my productivity has increased so much. And I'm a full stack, right, for both front end and back end. I'm able to get involved in more projects than before. The having a family, taking care of family, and this is not a limitation anymore because of Copilot. Because it's not taking over my job, but I'm able to cover all the, it's a bug free code because it's covering all the cases. We humans are still needed for the actual business logic and for the actual solution. Copilot is just giving a helping hand, and I feel that it's 8 times saving my time, and
Very good.
I'm just able to
Very
move
good.
forward. What I feel is it's a great tool for me where I can manage both family and work and still show my full potential with that. So I don't think it's going to take over. If it's a great advantage, is what my experiences with the last 3 months. Yeah, with Copilot.
Yes, thank you.
Coding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Deepa. Good point. Yeah, absolutely. I think I also feel the same way. In fact, the only thing is that I'm actually, I am in that business of doing a living with AI, but it will truly reimagine our life, both our professional life and our personal life. Any other observation? Anybody else? Any other comments?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, Suhasini.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is Suhasini. I have a question though. Like, basically, if I want to try something new, I would want to know about the risks more than the pros and or advantages. I would want to know about the cons of this because it's like, I do understand it takes jobs or job loss or data loss, but for me, as a 10 or 12-year experienced or whomsoever, if I write a program, let's say a simple program to get the sum of two numbers, I would know what are the inputs that need to be given, and I would know what is the expected output. So from an AI, based on the data or data that it has or it has been fed with, it already knows. If we give a float number or if we give some alphanumeric, it says invalid input. So I would know like what can it give like out of the box, or what can it provide me outside with what I have, or outside my ability, or outside with out of the 10 experience or 12-year experience. Other than that, what extra can it give?
So let me summarize the question, if I understood the question well.
Yeah.
So you're saying you want to know the power of the tool. So you are able to do A, B, C, D. What can you tell me E, F, G, H, or name that, so that I can determine whether I should use that E, F, G, H. Is that the question?
Yeah, it's basically like what can it suggest? Did you think of this, or did you think of this scenario, or I just used an ad program as a simple example. I'm just asking like whether it can help me make some decisions. Don't use this, or try using this, something like that.
So you ask for a suggestion. Deepa, my way of looking at would be like any other tool, right?
Yeah.
Ask for the suggestion. See, the best part of this tool is it will respond to your natural question. Nobody needs to write a code to get a good answer out of this supercomputer, right? So, and the best way to do is always learning, right? To actually, so ask for it, okay, and you can ask, and many of the time, I don't think, you see, of course, what you put in data and how much you open up yourself is going to be an important part to it, but it is an experimentation. I don't think anybody will have a 0-1 answer, straight answer, but like a car that you started using and said, oh, I can do this and that and this, right? So with a new tool, we've always figured out, as we use the thing, we will know better. Anybody has a better answer than this? Yeah, please jump in. I think that's the best answer for now.
So when I tried with it, you can give comments, or just the name of a function will it will use that as a clue to generate what you want. And if you're suppose you're using a latest. My app is Ionic based, or I'm updating it to the latest Ionic 7 or something, and then I'm trying to generate some code, right? It would suggest something that I didn't even know about, something that's new in Ionic 7. So I'm able to use it immediately, use something that's out there immediately because of my. But it's an experimenting, right? Trial and error. Then I learn how to suggest better. And also it reads our entire code and it gets an idea what our style is, and it tries to use that as a it's learning our code base. So that's probably a con also, like it's reading all our code, but that's where the contract or something comes, right?
Sure. It's a great answer, Deepa. I think this is a better answer. I hope that answered the question. You as a practitioner has to use it, and you'll be amazed how useful it is, as Deepa was mentioning, right? It can make you far more powerful. Anyway, any other good questions are coming actually. Are there, how many students are here on in this participation list? Do we have 5, 10? I don't think we are getting questions at the student level. I was told walking into this meeting that there are a lot of students.
5 to 10, Rajesh, in between 5 to 10 students. Yes.
Yeah. So I think this is a session for you guys and girls. So shoot questions. Not that we are a smarter person here, but we'll try and attempt our best answer.
I think the fact is we are all students of generative AI and the AI technology at this time.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the stage. Absolutely. Yeah. Because I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. We go into meeting every day. I go into meeting every day, defending my company, engaging in pursuits with a lot of big organizations. Some of the big names that you can think about, especially in West Coast. And we are always having butterfly in our stomach, saying, did we read that last week's research paper that has come in? Because innovation, this is bleeding, okay? Technology is changing all the time, and people are not able to keep up. People are not able to keep up, because not only should I be reading the paper, but I should also be experimenting. At least some of our engineers should be doing. So there are, as I said, it's a multidisciplinary area. So we have a multiple set of specialists coming in along within this kind of discussion. I am one of them, but it is always amazing. As I heard now, we are always a student, and I think we are always remain student.
One question for you, Rajesh, because you are in this field, right? And kind of leading it from your company's perspective. What is that your company or the people in your position is doing, especially on the consulting side, that is helping your clients, right? So are you just are you in a way guiding them, okay, how the technology is going, as if like you summarized a lot of that today, but are you also guiding the companies in a way, okay, this is your business and this is where the technology is going, how you can get there before your competitors? Is it what you're trying to do with your companies?
Yes, good question. Excellent question, Prasad. I'll answer that. Yeah. So in fact, every day morning as I wake up, this is the interesting challenge that I get to, because I get to talk to 2-3 different companies, and all of them have huge specialization. I mean, they are like the god in the space, the Google, the Amazon, and you're going and talking and trying to consult them, right? You can't, I mean, it's not an easy thing, but I'll tell you what is the possibility. So I'll give you a very good example. Think about a publishing company. What does a publishing company do? You all read books. We all consume books or videos or whatever, right? Books. Think about books, right? Now, the company that we are consulting, we're trying to develop a product for a company. And this is one of the largest publishers, one of the largest publishers in the world, one of the largest. Okay, I can't name them, but they actually do about 40 books a day. Okay, they do about 40 books a day, releases 40 books a day, 16 languages. They are done. The problem statement that we are actually looking at will give you a view of what kind of work is happening. We are telling the customer, hey, your business is expected to change. Either you change, we are having a discussion at CXO level, CEO or those kind of level. You're saying your business is expected to be disrupted. And here is an idea that we want to engage with, right? And what's the idea? See, today the translation from, let's say, an English book to a Chinese or even a Malayalam or whatever that is, right? While Google Translate does a kind of a job, but a book, it is not, when you do a translation, right? It is not just replacing that words with that same words in Hindi or another language.
Yeah.
You have to have the context. Yeah. You have to have that feeling coming along.
Emotion, yeah, emotion should be there.
Translate, right? So today, most of the work, 90% of the work or 95% of the work is some human rewriting and rewriting that copyright to ensure that we are getting better at it. Our proposition is, guess what? Hey, we can do this rewrite completely with artificial intelligence, generative AI, right? Faster, better, cheaper. Correct? And far more engaging. How it is far more engaging? I can, like I said, the example of I give it a feed, a Bible, which is a book, holy book, and you say, enact the drama for me because I'm a different learner. I don't read reading, right? But I want to learn. So multimodal capability within generative AI can show a picture and a video, and that can be far more accurate. And I can consume, I as a human can consume better because I'm more of a picture person than a person who will read and can take it. Does that give a sign? I mean, it is innovation at the core. Which, in other words, what .com did, so many companies starting 1998, when it came to 2010, half of the Fortune 500 list companies are gone. Okay, retail has changed forever. We don't go to do grocery as much as we do. We have far more choices. So in other words, many companies fell down. You don't even know those amazing companies that was there. So that is going to get repeated. Okay, companies are going to fall, and the CEOs are actually burning the midnight oil, trying to figure out what should I be doing? What should I be doing? In other words, the companies in the garage, new phone companies in the garage, they will become tomorrow's Google. And that is the innovation art. That is the metamorphosis that we started with.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Yeah.
So
Hi,
we have
Rajesh.
4 more minutes. Yeah.
I have a quick
Any other
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick question. So as you have mentioned earlier, especially looking from the job standpoint and the way the companies are actually transforming and adapting these AI capabilities, we have so many students over here and so many people in the IT sector and all other sectors. So what is as you mentioned earlier, so many new positions will be created, especially on this AI area, and a lot of positions will be changing the way of working, right? I mean, people needs to adapt to new things and change the way of working. So what are your recommendations on especially on the job angle, when people are actually thinking which area people needs to focus, especially our students and the IT people, to stay with the industry?
So great question. So I'll tell you my approach of how I look at it actually. And we are all learning, okay? See, previously, if you look at my father or your father, they've all went to a work. Study till 5th, still about maybe 10th. My father studied till 10th standard. He was supposed to go to work after that, right? Somehow he scraped through the 10th standard and started getting to work. And during the work, he became a draughtsman and got up the game, right? And learned through the way. But he worked for a company for 40 years, stayed in 2 different places, lived there, had a family, and then retired in the same place, and then relocated back to Kerala, right? If you look at it, the in the VUCA world, in other words, which is where we are now, which is highly volatile, very innovative, right? Because the technology is a disruption. While if I started my career in 1950, I could have done what my father did, right? Got a government job and stayed with it, right? Happy. Because it was not fast paced, because that technology arc was not as much as it is today. Today, you can't leave that world anymore. Today, the way you have to do is explore, experiment, take chance. So, like how we did in many of the IT folks who have come into IT, I come from, when I started my career, I didn't know I of IT, right? So when I moved into the domain different roles, and I said the shining toy called IT was coming in. I mean, if you look, if I had stayed that, no, that is not for me because I'm not an engineer by academic qualification. But then the way I looked at it is, what is the worst thing that can happen, right? I will be out of the job, right? That's fine. I will rather go, the technology should work for me than against me. So in other words, the answer to the question is in each of the profession that we are in, you are a carpenter, you are a draftsman, you are a CAD engineer, you are an IT person, you are a student. Start exploring what this damn technology is, what it can do for you, how imaginative you can be. There is no, knowing oneself first, what I can and what maybe I'm more a risk taker, maybe I'm more of a creative person. I'm an engineer today, but Disney is looking for creative engineers. And this is very highly paid. So if you got into a .NET kind of profession long time back, but you at the heart of it, you're still like that, the way the picture looks, the way the new images comes through, or we are very creative. See how that part of yours of creativity, plus what you know of .NET, can emerge into a newer profession, and newer jobs are coming in. Keep looking. Prompt engineer is one of the highest paid jobs today. Not there 3 years ago. Many people are actually doing the metamorphosis, right? Moving in. But again, experimenting, knowing, experimenting. So exploration is the key. That would be my answer.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you. I
Do
think
we
we're
have
on the
a-
time.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions? Any more questions? Okay, so let's wind up. Thank you, Rajesh. It was a very interactive session and provided more insight into the generative AI. Thanks to all the participants. Please do add our questions every month. We'll have different topics every month. And if you have any feedback, please send us an email to meahouston@gmail.com. Thanks again. Lakshmi, you want to say something?
Thank you.
Yeah. Lakshmi, stop the recording.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I'll stop the recording. And thank you, Rajesh. Thank you for such an informative session. Anybody else want to say something?
Manoj, maybe.
No, it was very, very informative. I know that 1 hour may not be enough because people have more questions, concerns, especially since this is a very disruptive at this point in time. But this was very good insights. Thanks a lot. Hopefully we can have a follow-up sometime later.
Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah.
And
Thank
Thank you, Rajesh, and thank you,
Vicky, for coordinating this.
Thank you, BG.
Yeah, thank you. And I feel more confident on certain topics now, to be at least able to talk about it to some other people. Yeah. Thank you, MEA, and thank you so much, Rajesh.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.